Good morning, everyone. My name is Bertha Sithole. Thank you so much for joining us on this live stream. First of all, I just want to appreciate MTN, Eswatini, and Junior Achievement for this opportunity and for providing this empowerment session for you, youth of Eswatini. It's an amazing platform, and I'm so excited that you get to learn on all the entrepreneurship opportunities that they are on the digital platforms. So my session today will be focusing on social media marketing and how you can identify the opportunities and make money, because in business we want to know how to make money. So here goes. So my name is Bertha Sithole. As the slide on, just to introduce myself, I am a recent graduate of the Executive Diploma in Business Leadership, and in 2019 I went to the Mandela Washington Fellowship, which was in the University of Notre Dame in Indiana. And just few of my academic achievements, and I am a graduate, Limco Queen University graduate in public relations. With that certificate, I was able to start my own business, a marketing agency called Kuwanza Dreams. It's 6 years old now, and we've worked with amazing brands in Eswatini and South Africa, and fortunately also worked with other, collaborated with a brand in the US, but we'll get more into details about that later. Some of my accomplishments involves the fact that I was a Shiro in Blue Shiro in 2019, the Standard Bank Awards that awards outstanding women and females in Eswatini. I was also nominated for the Customer Service Awards under the Young Leaders with Excellence in Eswatini in 2019. Also won an award with Junior Achievement Eswatini as one of the judges, and I'm also a board member for the Eswatini US Programs Alumni, and those are some of the academic, achievements that I've accomplished over the past years. I was also fortunate enough to go to the US during the Mandela Washington Fellowship to a media company called Grassroots Media. So what they do is they're a digital marketing platform, and they produce amazing production, and they won an Emmy Award for it. And I was fortunate enough to actually hold the Emmy Award on my hands. So why am I touching into that? It's because these are some of the opportunities they are in digital marketing as we proceed to discuss. So here are the things that we're going to discuss today. I've already mentioned some of them. We're going to understand what social media marketing is. I call it SMM. Social media statistics, because these are really important for us to understand the market that we're operating in. We're going to discuss the key social media marketing uses, the pros and cons, because the platform, it's a versatile platform that we work in. Social media entrepreneurship opportunities. There's a list of all the opportunities, some of the opportunities that I was able to put together for you to take home and try to conceptualize a business around. And then the tips on how you can get started. And in conclusion, I'm going to share some of the useful sites that have helped me over the years, and they can hopefully help you too. There's a quote by an author named Catherine. She says, "To see an opportunity, we must be open to all thoughts." So as we go on to this program, I hope you are open to all thoughts today so that you can see and identify the opportunities. Now, what is social media? Well, social media is an internet-based form of communication. We all know that Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, TikTok are all social media platforms, and these were created to connect people together. So it's a social platform to connect with your friends, your families, your colleagues or former colleagues, your classmates, and so forth. So it's a platform where everyone goes to connect socially. We share information on these platforms. We are able to have conversations, and we share pictures, videos, content, and so forth. Now, this then gave birth to social media marketing, because now there are people on these platforms. People identify that they can use it as one form of communicating with the audience. So if an organization wants to communicate with an audience, they can find them online, and they use it to communicate. The academic definition is social media marketing is the use of social media platforms to connect with your audience to build your brand, increase sales, and to drive website traffic. Now, I'm going to also define what an entrepreneur is, because today's session is how we're connecting social media marketing to entrepreneurship. An entrepreneur is someone who has an idea and who works to create a product or service that people will buy. I like this, the fact that as an entrepreneur is a risk taker, an entrepreneur is a creator of demand, and is a problem solver. There are so many definitions of entrepreneurship, but I chose this one specifically because it speaks to what we are going to be talking about today. Now, there are over 8 billion people in the world, right? And it's exciting that as of January this year, there were over 4.7 billion people on social media. When I'm saying social media, I'm just talking about all the platforms combined. So there are over 4.7 billion active social media users. So the word active is something that we should take into consideration, because we've got 5.1 billion people on the internet doing whatever they're doing, but on social media it's 4.7 billion. Why is this important? This shows the magnitude of how big social media is and how many people you can actually reach on social media globally. 4.7 billion active social media users. Now let me just zone it down to Africa. So in Africa, the biggest social media platform that we use as Africans is Facebook. It's followed by Instagram. Instagram is closely followed by LinkedIn. And then we've got Twitter. Following Twitter is WhatsApp. And there's an interesting social media platform that is the fastest growing social media platform in the world, and that is TikTok. And it's exciting to see that even Africans are on TikTok, and this one is closely followed by Messenger. And all the other platforms are there. They are used in Africa, they're just not the most used platforms. Furthermore, zoning in to Eswatini, where we currently are, here are the statistics as of January 2023. We have YouTube, we've got Twitter, we've got Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and so forth. But overall, we've got 710,000 people on the internet in Eswatini. 335,000 of those are active social media users. That means as a Maswati, we have a platform to reach 315,000 people on social media. Now, breaking that down into the 4 leading platforms in the country, Facebook has 313, Instagram has 53,000, LinkedIn has 89,000 members, and then Twitter has 31,000. And we've got YouTube, which has a market share of 3.6%. Now, this may sound as jargon for now, but you'll see later why this is important. Now, why then do we use social media? Because I mentioned earlier that this is a cool platform to connect with your friends and your families, to share what you're currently doing, and to just showcase whatever you're doing for us to appreciate. But brands are using social media to increase their customer support and service, to generate leads, to make sales, to engage with their audience. When we're saying engaging with their audience, this means if you are following a specific page, for example, Junior Achievement Eswatini, this is us engaging with you on this platform using the live stream service. And it's also a place where organizations are used to, as a marketplace awareness, to increase brand awareness, and to also increase website traffic. I also like to say it also increase foot traffic, because you can redirect people to go into your office, and hence you're able to make more money. So those are some of the uses that brands and companies are using on social media as a social media marketing activity. Now, before I go to the pros and cons, in the comments below, please do leave a comment or ask a question, and in a few minutes, I'll be able to attend to those questions. Social media has pros and cons, and this is exciting. Remember the quotes that I shared earlier, that if you open your mind, you're going to see opportunities, right? So as an entrepreneur is a creator of demand and is a problem solver. So wherever there's a problem, an entrepreneur is there to solve it. And if there's an opportunity, it's because there are pros in that particular space. Now, the pros include brand awareness, website traffic, as I mentioned earlier. You're able to drive leads and even get leads in a quantitative format. You are able to promote your content. You're able to understand your demographics, the people that you are connecting with. You're able to improve your customer service, and it's a low-cost form of marketing as compared to the other traditional marketing forms. And it actually gives you real-life results to say how many people have seen your post, how many people have reacted to your post, and how many sales you've made through that post if you understand how to convert that. And it's an easy access to paid advertising. It can actually show you how much you paid and how many people were able to see that ad, and I'll get into details about that later. And then there are cons, of course. And the cons are, it's a very versatile platform. You are exposed to cybersecurity, the lack of immediate results, because from the moment you're creating a social media page, it starts from zero until you get that one like. And now some of these pages are at 20,000 likes or even followers. Some are even at 4 million. I was seeing a celebratory post this morning on Instagram. Someone reached 4 million, not in Eswatini, of course, but 4 million people following someone. So you understand how big this platform is. And obviously it's an unforgiving environment. It takes a long time to get your return on investment. As I mentioned, you start from zero and then you grow. So it takes time for you to see the results, hence lack of immediate results. And security concerns in terms of cybersecurity. If an organization has one phone, for example, who has to keep the phone? When you're leaving the office with that particular phone, who can access the company account? So that's the sort of information can be lost. And then we've got misinformation as well, the information that is fed outside there, and negative, comments that people get to share about your organization. So you are exposed to that risk. Now, we've discussed the pros and cons. We've discussed the bigger market in terms of 4 billion globally, and then you've got the leading platforms in Africa, and then in Eswatini you've got an opportunity to actually reach over 300,000 people on social media. Where are the opportunities? Now, this leads me to my next slide, which speaks about entrepreneurship opportunities. Now, remember I mentioned earlier that I had an opportunity to work with an American company with Kuanza Dreams. It made me understand the value chain when it comes to social media marketing. Social media marketing is not just about posting a post and just waiting for returns. There are so many things that happen behind the scenes. Hence, one of the cons is it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time because, for example, if an organization wants to post a post about a job opening, for example, they need to understand first, work with human resource. What is the job opening about? Where will it be posted? Is it on the website, or will it be on social media, on an external site? How long is the duration? What type of information do they need to be posted on social media? Then you're going to designing the poster. Then you're going into embedding the links on the images, QR codes. Then you go on to when you are going to publish. Understanding when to publish is also one of the key issues that you need to understand. Who are the audiences? When you have to boost that post, who are you boosting it to? What is your target? You need to understand all of these things. And then in terms of understanding the results, how many people did it reach versus how many people applied, how many people commented, what do you do with the data? So that whole process itself involves a whole lot of people, and expertise are needed along the way. For example, so now we've got, apologies about that. So here are the opportunities that you can tap into and you can actually start a business. Number one, you can be a social media auditor. A social media auditor is the process of reviewing your business metrics to access growth. So you can actually be a social media auditor. And a social media auditor charges from emalangeni 4,000 going up. So you can start a business and say, I'm going to audit all these social media pages, and I'm going to identify who are running these pages. Are they run in-house? Are they run by an individual? Are they run by a marketing agency? And I'm going to approach them and say, here is the audit that I've done, and here are my recommendations, and here's how you can actually grow your page. You can also be a customer analysis. A customer analysis is understanding the key customers and how to segment. So that means you are able to say, you know what, you are not growing your social media page because you've missed your online customer specific customer market, and then you make your suggestion and then you charge them for that. You can charge them per hour, you can charge them per day, or you can charge them per report. That is up to you. You can also be an influencer. We've seen the rise of influencer marketing. I think this is, it's not brain, I don't need to go much into it, but I can go into the money. So there are a lot of people who are charging different amounts for different brands and for different reasons. So recently I saw a South African influencer charging 350 rands per post on the stories, not on the feed. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. You know what happened? An hour later, there were 10 posts. So that means this person made 3,500 in an hour. Imagine how much you can make if you're doing that the whole day. And this person has a following of over 400,000 people. But then in Eswatini, we have a lot of influencers, and some of them have a niche market, and they are focused. For example, if I can make an example of a travel blogger can market anything traveling because their audience is people who are interested in traveling. So you need to understand their audience, understand what they are doing, and where you can get the gap there. Or you can be a YouTuber and build yourself to be an influencer so that you can go to brand and actually pitch your story and get them to pay you to run an ad. On my screen, I've got Smilwenhle, who had a partnership with Kellogg's, and this is because we've seen her build her brand from the beginning, from scratch, and now she's able to partner with big brands and get paid for it. And then we've got media monitoring. Media monitoring is just going around all the media spaces and finding what people are saying about either you as an organization, a specific topic, specific industry, or what people are generally speaking about. So this will help you, and you can actually be the media monitoring specialist to say, I'm the specialist, I do media monitoring every single day. I can actually tell you what is trending, and you can sell that to marketing agencies. You can sell that to whatever organization you have decided to focus on. Also sales. Social media is a good platform to make sales. And you need to figure out how you can make money from it. Are you going to create a campaign that will make an organization make sales? Or are you going to be the one who makes sure that you redirect people from social media to actually go buy from organizations? But there is an opportunity in the sales value chain when it comes to digital marketing. And the next one, due to time, I'll just browse through some of them. We've got customer relations, risk management. This one in particular has a lot of money because you can actually charge from 20,000, just because sometimes an organization can publish one post and it can go haywire. And then you come in and say, I'm able to solve this for you, and this is how I'm going to do it, and the cost is 20,000 or more. So some of these rates are South African rates, because that is what we use in the digital space to actually benchmark, but it can be lower for Eswatini, or it can even be more. It will depend on what you are bringing on the table and your value. Then we'll go into content creation. I like how now, because TikTok is the biggest platform, it's the biggest growing platform in the world, we have these young people who are on TikTok, and they are good at creating trending TikTok videos, and most of them are now content creators. They now create content for a specific organization, and they just send you the videos and they get paid 500 per video or 1,000 per video. It will depend on how much you want organizations to pay. So you need to make sure that you know all the agencies that they are in Eswatini, connect with them so that you can be able to sell your content. You've got graphic design, that's a given, video production. You can also be a researcher using social media marketing. You can also venture into photography. My next slide also have some of the opportunities you can tap to on social media. Events promotion, paid ads and placements. Let me just spend a few minutes here. So I'm sure you've seen sponsored ads going around, and I have in my organization had this as a service. People are actually paying me, and I would charge extra for me to run their ads on social media. So you can also do that as well. So you can just make sure that you have your account in order, you have money inside that account, and you can then charge people to run their ads. You can also be a data analysis. So as I mentioned earlier, there's the reporting side of things and return on investment. So you can be a data analysis. You can analyze the data that comes from Facebook versus the data, the sales data versus what your goals were, and then you can charge people for that. You can also offer legal advice, reputation management. You can offer education and training on social media as a marketing tool. You can be a writer. We need people to create copy. We need people to create articles for LinkedIn, someone to rewrite or edit. So being a writer and a copy creative editing. You can be a mystery shopper. So being a mystery shopper is not a physical business. It can be online as well. So you can just go there and say, let me see what happens if I send an inbox. How long does it take for them to respond? Are they actually helping me? And then you can use that data to actually let the organization know what is it that they can improve. You can also be a storyteller. You can also do live streaming, like my colleagues here are live streaming this. That is a business on its own, to just live stream on social media. And you can also venture into campaigns. Going swiftly through, where do I start? That could be a question, because now I know the opportunities, I know how big the market is, I know what social media means, and I've understood what Facebook and all the other platforms are doing. Where would you start? I would say first you need to identify your strengths. What are you good at? What is it that you can do with your strengths for you to make money? You look at your education. How educated are you? What is it that you can do better than anyone else? If you don't know how to do this, I have a published book called Begin Your Dreams. It helps you identify who you are, be familiar with your environment, and then you plan how you can make money going forward using a vision board and other tools. So you can buy the book. And then number 2 is then identifying the problems and the opportunity. Remember, you are a creator of demand and a problem solver. So you now need to spend time on social media and be intentional about it. To say, I'm spending time on social media because I want to identify the opportunities and I want to see where the problems are so that I can use the entrepreneurship opportunities for me to make money. So once you've done that, you now need to solve the problem and find out how you can monetize that. How you can monetize that, I will share a link below on my next slide on where you can benchmark, because sometimes we don't know how to price because it's a product that is not around in the country. So now there's a platform you can use to benchmark from, which is a South African platform. But if you believe in your skills and you know that the problem that you're bringing is a game changer, you can use even the American or the UK standards to benchmark. And I'm told I'm running out of time. My resources, here are the resource sites that you can use, and I'm hoping this will be copied into the comments so that you can be able to find them. There is yali.state.gov. This is where you're going to learn a lot about business, about any industry that you want. You'll have the basics. So they've got free courses there. And the social media today, which is specifically focusing on social media, you'll know the changes that are being applied on any of these platforms. You're going to know how to use some of these platforms. And we've got Canva.com. I'm always saying to graphic designers that they need to be very good and better than Canva, because Canva is coming in to change and shift things in the graphic design industry. So Canva.com, you can design anything. You've got templates there that you can download and use and so forth. Social media, Sprout Social also has templates and information about social media marketing. You can find out how to create a strategy, how to create a budget, how to create a campaign, and so forth. So those templates are available there. And the digital insight, global digital insight by Data Reportal, that's where you get all the quarterly reports on social media stats across the world globally. And then the Data Protection Act 2022 of Eswatini, it's an important document for you to understand, so you understand the grounds where you're operating from, so that from a legal perspective, you are always on the safe side. Grammarly will help you with grammar. Payscale.com, that's the South African site that I was speaking about, where you can find out how much each service costs, so that you can be able to benchmark against. With that said, that is the end of my presentation, and I just want to end with the quote that says, opportunities don't happen, you create them. So as a young person, please go out there and screenshot the slides where I was speaking about the entrepreneurship opportunities. Take time and do your research and actually plan, so that you can be able to find out how to monetize it. Now, I want to know, going to your questions. My colleagues are going to assist me so that I can be able to respond to them. Questions, please. How do I start without money? You don't need money for you to be able to start some of these, actually most of these. Let me make an example. I started my marketing agency with only my laptop. So what I would do, I was doing a live reporting. So before we had live streaming in Eswatini, I was doing live streaming using images. So I'd actually go out to events, take pictures, and then stagger them 15 minutes at a time. So I had a laptop. I used to rent out a camera, because I know that they're going to pay after the event, and then I paid off the camera. And I made profits, and my costs were minimum. It was just transport to the venue and the camera rental. So then the costs were actually minimum. And what I'm saying is, you just don't need money. I know that you are online now, so you have data, and night data are actually very cheap and very fast. So you can dedicate and be disciplined and say, every night I'm going to do my research. You can start by just choosing any platform. Remember, on my slide when I was talking about how to get started, now you know what your strengths are. If your strengths are in writing, you are going then on Facebook to see how everyone is writing their articles or how everyone is writing their copy. And then you can identify a company that is not effectively writing their copy, and then you can go and approach them. Approaching them means you are calling them to find out who the marketing manager is, or you are going to their office and find out and ask for their marketing department. And when you get there, you must be ready. Have your pitch deck ready, understand all the cost and logistics involved, so that when they ask you questions, you are able to answer those questions, and you can be able to justify the cost of your service or your product. So you do not need money to start. Okay. I am looking for another. What is the best way to create a social media strategy? The best way to create a social media strategy is knowing what your objectives are. That is number one. What are your objectives? Once you know what your objectives are, then you are going to find out how other organizations across, I like saying across the world globally, because you get the most fantastic and out of the world ideas when you're doing your research. So now you're going to find out how other organizations were able to reach your goal. So for example, if your goal is to increase sales by 20%, number one, what is the product or service that you are selling? You need to understand that on its own. Who are your target audience? Understand that. Segment it clearly. so that you know that my product is actually selling to young people between the ages of 15 to 18, and these young people are at school. 20% of them are on TikTok. So how am I going to find them? It means you have to go to TikTok. And sometimes these strategies take you to WhatsApp. Some people are now creating WhatsApp groups and they're selling their products in the WhatsApp groups. Do not spam people, respect their platforms, but the groups are great because now you can redirect traffic from the social media platforms to WhatsApp so you can have a personal interaction with them. But for you to create the best social media strategy is just understanding your goal, understand your audience, and the delivery of the campaign. So once you know what is it that you want to do and how you can convert your clients into buying your product, it's the how. Make sure you deliver that 100%, and then you'll have the best strategy. Okay, so I am asked to give career opportunities again. Okay, so I gave the entrepreneurship, I think the slide has to go up. So these entrepreneurship opportunities, when we're speaking about career, in terms of what then you need to strategically do to study for you to be able to do this, I would say study marketing, study communication, study public relations, film and TV, and I believe all the other fields are important. But communication can be matched with all of them. So say you studied science, and then you add communication on that. You are the best person to effectively communicate science in the most simple sense to us, you know. So communication is an important part, and these are all covered in the sites that I've shared, because they are going to teach you how do you make sales? What is the sales pipeline look like? What is a sales pipeline? So I'm hoping this will be screenshotted and shared on the comments so that you can be able to refer back to them. But communication is the key factor, because once you know how to communicate, then you are able to do all of this. And how secure is it to work on this social media? It's 50-50, pros and cons. Hence, the research is also important. Know how to protect your data. For example, in my organization, laptops stay in the office. We only use one Wi-Fi, the one that we are using in the office. We do not use any other computers or phones outside of the ones we use, so that we do not expose our pages to cybersecurity. We are doing this because we were once exposed to it. Our pages were almost wiped out, but we're able to stop that because we have a partner that is always checking on our computers if we've got viruses, if we've been hacked. So now we make sure that we do not log on everywhere. So we make sure that our clients understand that this is our log. We knock off at 5 p.m. and we cannot access those pages until there's someone else in the office to do that. Because if you take our phones and laptops outside of the office, they may be stolen. Someone may have access to the pages, and then who knows what may happen after that. And I'm not sure if this is the last question. Is it advisable to leave job and explore opportunities on social media? I will answer this question by saying buy the Begin Your Dreams manual, because this will interact with you so you understand exactly what you want. What are your goals? What is it that you want to achieve? Is it in line with what you are currently doing, or you have to move from that space? It's going to take you through that journey so that you can be able to make the decisions. Once you know where you are going, you are able to see and make smart decision that says, you know what, why don't I use the money that I'm getting from this company to achieve some of my short goals, so that when I leave formal employment to entrepreneurship, I'm able to survive for 6 months, and also make sure your savings are on point. So those are some of the things that you are going to learn through the manual. Do not live haphazardly. Make sure you understand exactly, you have a clear plan of what's going to happen. And you've got plan B of, if plan A doesn't work, what's your plan B to make sure that plan A works, and so forth. So you need to have a clear plan. Do not just leave and think the universe is going to solve things for you. You need to play your part. I'm not sure if there's another question. Thank you for the reviews. I am hoping that everyone is following. What are your goals? In case of a startup and a niche product, your social media marketing strategy may begin. Oh, okay, no, this one I was answering another person. How do you measure the success of a social media campaign? By your goals. Your goals need to be clear. This is really important. Once your goals are clear, that is what you'll use to measure. So you know your KPIs. If, for example, you said one of your the social media campaign was to have 300 new leads in a week, was to reach 4,000 new following, was to have was to reach 4,000 people and increase your following by 10%. That is exactly how you're going to measure your success. You're going to tick goal number 1. Did you achieve it? If not, then you analyze why you didn't achieve that. Were you being too ambitious, or is it because the campaign itself was not a success? So the goals need to be clear so that you can be able to measure. So you also need your key indicators. You cannot say people must go to a branch and then not have a control measure to see where those people are coming from. So most of the time, if you are using digital, you can say when you go to the branch, please use code FB001. If they're using that code, your consultant at the branch must actually write it down and say, oh, so these are the people that came from Facebook. And then that will help you see if your campaign was a success or not. But you need to really understand your goals so that you know if you've achieved them at the end. What are some of the most important metrics to track in social media marketing? It also depends. I've had numerous clients. Other clients are focused on likes, on the following. Other clients are focused on the sales or turnover they make in their offices. Other people are focused on just brand awareness. Are people aware? Are people clicking on the likes? So it just depends on why you are in social media. Just answer the whys. Why are you on social media? What are your goals? With that, you are going to be able to have more success. Do not just exist on social media without a plan. I have another client whose goal is to create a project story. So they're just there to create a story. This is where we've started, this is where we are going, and this is where we currently are. Because their long-term goal is to attract funding at the end of the day. So now you see that theirs is to create impactful stories. So we're posting impactful stories every single week because they are trying to track from the beginning to the end, so that when the time they want to go for funding, it's clear what they are actually doing and everything is there, it's evident. They are not just posting for the sake of fun. So you need to know the whys. Why are you doing it? What are your objectives, so that you can be able to grow your brand. The manual is Emalangeni 150. It's available on my social media platforms and at Women Working Together in Eswatini. Thank you for the other comments. And if you need more questions, please do ask Junior Achievement. I'll be able to send through my responses today. And after that, you can be in touch with myself. And if we do bump into each other in the streets, we'll discuss more about social media. And thank you so much for watching this episode. I am hoping that you did learn a lot. And I cannot wait to work with some of you and to see all the entrepreneurship ventures that you are going to generate from the ideas that I've shared. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Have a good day.